Do you think seafood is always a healthy choice? Especially after turning 60, you might be surprised to learn that not every food from the ocean is a superfood. In fact, some of the ones you believe are nutritious could actually be silently wearing down your health, worsening arthritis, raising blood pressure, and even impairing memory. According to recent studies, nearly 3/4 of seniors in the U.S. are eating types of seafood that pose serious health risks. One type considered healthy by many has been linked to a 29% higher risk of memory loss. And this isn't just a personal matter. The seafood industry has spent millions of dollars to keep this information buried in obscure scientific reports that almost no one reads. The good news is, there are also seafood options that act like natural medicine, helping reduce inflammation, boost brain function, protect heart health, and keep your joints strong and flexible well into your 60s and beyond. In today's video, I'll reveal the 4 most dangerous seafoods you need to avoid, along with 4 golden choices you should eat regularly, plus tips on how to choose and cook them safely. But before we begin, I want to ask, how many times a week do you eat seafood? Is there a dish you've been eating because you thought it was good for you but never really looked into? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'll read them and offer personal advice for each case. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe, because the information you're about to hear could change the way you look at your seafood meals forever. Now, to start this journey, let's talk about the 4 seafoods that, if you're over 60, you should never let appear on your plate. Chapter 4. Farmed catfish. If you've ever bought frozen pangasius or basa because it's cheap, easy to cook, and tender, it's time I tell you a truth you might never have considered. Behind those pristine white fillets that seem so harmless is a whole story, and once you know it, you might think twice before putting them in your shopping cart. These fish are raised in crowded ponds, where the water is often murky and contaminated with industrial waste, farm runoff, and household trash. In such conditions, disease spreads easily. When one fish gets sick, the whole pond is quickly affected. To keep them alive and growing fast enough for sale, farmers have to use strong antibiotics, water treatment chemicals, and parasite-killing drugs. And even after washing and cooking, some of these residues can remain in the fish's flesh. For younger people, a healthy liver and kidneys can clear toxins more efficiently. But after 60, these organs slow down. Residual chemicals can accumulate over time, quietly causing fatigue, digestive problems, and even increasing the risk of liver disease or cancer if consumed long-term. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration (FDA) has found some imported pangasius shipments exceeding safe limits for antibiotic residues and heavy metals, something many consumers are completely unaware of. If you still enjoy the flavor of catfish, here's the good news. Wild-caught catfish from clean rivers and lakes in the U.S. is a much safer choice. These fish eat a natural diet, live in cleaner waters, and have a richer taste and firmer texture compared to industrially farmed ones. I remember Mr. Samuel, 72, from Arkansas. He loved pan-fried basa fillets, eating them twice a week, because they were tasty and affordable. But over time, he began feeling tired, bloated, and lost his appetite. When he went for a checkup, his doctor found elevated liver enzymes and mildly reduced kidney function. After being asked about his eating habits, he was shocked to learn that his favorite fish was the culprit. He switched to locally caught catfish, even though it cost a bit more. 3 months later, his health markers returned to normal, and he felt much better. Now, whenever he meets friends at the fishing club, he smiles and says, "I've given up imported farmed fish, and that's one of the best health decisions I've ever made." Number 3. Farm-raised tilapia. You may have heard that tilapia is easy to eat, easy to cook, high in protein, and mild in flavor, making it perfect for seniors. In fact, many diet plans and even hospital menus include it. But the truth is, farm-raised tilapia is one of the seafoods I most strongly advise people over 60 to avoid, and the reasons go far beyond dirty farming. The biggest issue with farmed tilapia is its fat profile. While wild ocean fish like salmon or herring have an almost equal ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids, About 1:1 farm-raised tilapia can have a ratio as high as 11:1. That might sound like a dull statistic, but it means you're consuming far too much omega-6, which promotes inflammation, while being deficient in anti-inflammatory omega-3. Scientists warn that this imbalance is like pouring gasoline on chronic conditions, such as arthritis, heart disease, and even Alzheimer's. Looking deeper, the farming environment for tilapia in many overseas operations is truly concerning. Fish are raised in crowded concrete tanks or stagnant ponds, fed a processed diet made from cornmeal, soybean meal, and sometimes even poultry manure. With no natural water flow to filter out waste, all excrement accumulates around the fish, creating the perfect breeding ground for bacteria and parasites. To manage this, farmers rely on antibiotics and chemical water treatments. The FDA can only inspect a small fraction of imported shipments, meaning most farm-raised tilapia reaches the market without thorough screening. I'm reminded of Dr. Thomas, a retired cardiologist in California. He was always mindful of his diet, avoiding red meat and fried foods, and replacing them with pan-seared tilapia 4 times a week, believing he was protecting his heart. But after just 1 year, his knees and hands became swollen and painful, making walking difficult. Blood tests showed his CRP, a marker of inflammation, was nearly 10 times the normal level. When reviewing his diet, he realized tilapia was his most frequently eaten protein. He eliminated it completely, replacing it with wild-caught pollock or Pacific rockfish. 6 months later, his joint pain had significantly improved, and he was able to enjoy morning walks without a cane. If you want both safety and nutrition, opt for wild ocean fish rich in omega-3s, such as pollock, Pacific rockfish, or wild salmon. These not only help balance anti-inflammatory fats, but also provide vitamin D, selenium, and other essential nutrients. Plus, choosing fish from sustainable wild sources is a way to help protect the marine environment for future generations. 2. Imported farm-raised shrimp from Asia. Shrimp is a favorite for many, especially at parties or family gatherings. Small, easy to cook, and high in protein, at first glance it seems harmless. But if you're buying cheap frozen shrimp, especially from packages labeled product of Vietnam, Thailand, or China, I'd like you to pause and hear this story. Over 90% of shrimp sold in U.S. supermarkets is imported farm-raised, mostly from large-scale industrial farms in Southeast Asia. They're kept in crowded ponds with hundreds packed into each square meter. The water is often murky, containing their own waste along with animal and even human waste from surrounding areas. In these conditions, diseases spread quickly. To keep them alive, farmers use a chemical cocktail, high-dose antibiotics, antifungals, pesticides, and growth hormones. Independent testing, such as a report from Consumer Reports, found that up to 60% of imported shrimp samples contained antibiotics banned for aquaculture in the U.S. Some of these, like chloramphenicol, can cause aplastic anemia, a life-threatening condition in which the bone marrow stops producing enough new blood cells, especially dangerous for seniors with weakened immune systems. I once met Robert, 66, a retired veteran living in Texas. After retirement, he often bought cheap frozen shrimp to save money, thinking cooking would make them safe. But after about 8 months, he began developing small sores on his hands and legs that healed very slowly, even with antibiotic ointment. Blood tests revealed his white blood cell count had dropped sharply. When his doctor learned he was eating imported shrimp weekly, they immediately ordered tests for chemical residues. The results showed chloramphenicol in his system, an antibiotic that had damaged his bone marrow's ability to produce white blood cells. It took nearly 4 months of treatment and dietary changes for him to partially recover. If you love shrimp, look for wild-caught varieties from the Gulf of Mexico or the U.S. Atlantic coast. They're more expensive but free from banned antibiotics and have a richer flavor. If you're on a budget, buy smaller amounts but choose frozen shrimp from wild-caught sources. You'll get safety and nutrition in every bite. Always read labels carefully And if you see farm-raised with an Asian country of origin, think twice before putting it in your cart. 1. Raw oysters from warm waters. Raw oysters are often seen as a luxury dish appearing at parties, seafood restaurants, or special celebrations. But for people over 60, especially those with underlying conditions like diabetes or liver disease, eating raw oysters, particularly from warm waters, is like playing a game of chance with your health. The main danger lies in a bacterium called Vibrio vulnificus. This bacterium naturally occurs in warm seawater and is especially common in the southern U.S. Gulf Coast states like Florida, Louisiana, and Texas. When water temperatures rise, Vibrio vulnificus multiplies rapidly and accumulates inside oysters. Since oysters are filter feeders, they store both nutrients and any bacteria or contaminants in the water. What's frightening is that Vibrio vulnificus doesn't just cause mild food poisoning, it can lead to severe, fast-moving septicemia bloodstream infection. With the immune system naturally weaker after age 60, the risk from this bacterium increases significantly. According to the CDC, 96% of Vibrio vulnificus-related deaths occur in people over 60, and the fatality rate can exceed 50% in those with liver disease or other chronic illnesses. Symptoms can start just a few hours after eating: high fever, chills, severe abdominal pain, diarrhea, and most distinctively large fluid-filled blisters under the skin containing blood, a sign that the bacteria have attacked the blood vessels. From that point, the infection can spread throughout the body within a day, leading to multi-organ failure. I remember the story of Linda, 68, from Florida. At a birthday party, she ate a plate of raw oysters, something she'd enjoyed many times before, without any trouble. But this time, only 12 hours later, she developed a high fever and intense chills. At the hospital, doctors immediately recognized signs of Vibrio vulnificus infection. Even though she was given strong antibiotics right away, she spent 3 weeks in the hospital and lost part of a finger due to the infection spreading. Since then, she has avoided raw oysters completely and has become an advocate for seafood safety awareness in seniors. If you still want to eat oysters, steam them for at least 5 minutes, or grill until the shells pop open and the flesh firms up. Or consider replacing them with clams or mussels cooked thoroughly. You'll still get that sweet seafood flavor without the deadly risk of raw warm water oysters. And if you see a senior family member about to order raw oysters at a restaurant, don't hesitate to remind them of this danger, because sometimes one fun meal can lead to months of treatment and recovery. 4. Wild-caught scallops. After discussing the seafoods to avoid, it's time to explore the golden choices that, when included regularly in your meals, can make you feel stronger and healthier every day. First on this list is wild-caught scallops, a refined, delicious seafood that is especially beneficial after the age of 60. Scallops aren't just a fancy restaurant dish. They're an abundant source of vitamin B12, an essential nutrient that protects the nervous system, prevents anemia, and supports memory. Just a 100-gram serving of scallops provides over 100% of your daily vitamin B12 needs. They're also rich in zinc and magnesium, two minerals that play a key role in maintaining a steady heartbeat, lowering the risk of arrhythmia, and supporting an immune system that naturally weakens with age. Research from Harvard Medical School shows that seniors with adequate zinc levels are less likely to catch seasonal colds and recover more quickly from infections. The magnesium in scallops also helps relax muscles and improve sleep, a common struggle for many people over 60 who often report restless nights and frequent awakenings. However, not all scallops are created equal. At the store, you'll find dry and wet scallops. Dry scallops are free from added preservatives, keeping their natural sweetness and full nutritional value. Wet scallops, on the other hand, are soaked in a phosphate solution to retain water, making them look bigger and whiter. But this reduces their sweetness and causes them to release excess water when cooked. For maximum benefits, choose dry scallops labeled wild-caught from the North Atlantic or Alaskan waters, where the cold, clean environment helps them grow naturally nutrient-rich. Cooking scallops is simple. A quick sear with a bit of butter and garlic for 1-2 minutes on each side yields a dish that's both tasty and healthful. You can also steam them with vegetables and add a splash of lemon for extra flavor and vitamin C, which boosts zinc absorption. I once knew a woman named Margaret 70 from Boston. She used to eat mostly chicken and farmed salmon, but often felt tired in the afternoons. When her doctor ran tests, she was found to be deficient in vitamin B12. Instead of relying solely on supplements, she began adding dry scallops to her meals twice a week. Within 3 months, she noticed she was more alert. Her memory had improved, and to her surprise, her nighttime leg cramps had nearly disappeared. She now jokes with her grandchildren, "Maybe my secret is those tiny little scallops." 3. Wild Mediterranean octopus. If scallops bring elegance and lightness to the table, wild Mediterranean octopus is like a powerful ally for your brain and muscles. It's a seafood that coastal communities in Greece, Italy, and Spain have been eating for centuries. And it's no coincidence that many elders there remain sharp-minded and physically agile well into their 80s and 90s. Mediterranean octopus is famously rich in complete protein, meaning it contains all 9 essential amino acids the body cannot produce on its own. This is especially important after 60, when muscle mass begins to decline rapidly, a process known as sarcopenia. A 100-gram serving of octopus delivers over 25 grams of high-quality protein, helping maintain and rebuild muscle, which supports mobility and independence. Beyond protein, octopus contains taurine, a compound that protects heart health, reduces the risk of heart failure, and supports the nervous system. A Japanese study found that seniors who consumed taurine regularly had fewer heart problems and more stable blood pressure compared to those who didn't. In addition, Mediterranean octopus is a good source of vitamin B12, copper, and iron nutrients that help the brain work efficiently, enhance memory, and reduce fatigue. What sets this octopus apart is its habitat. It's wild-caught in deep, mineral-rich, crystal-clear waters, far from industrial farming, meaning it's virtually free from antibiotic or chemical residues. This also gives it a naturally sweeter, richer flavor compared to farmed varieties. Cooking Mediterranean octopus can be a little different from other seafood. To tenderize the meat, it's best to freeze it overnight before cooking to break down the muscle fibers. After that, you can slow braise it with tomatoes, garlic, and olive oil, the Italian stew style, or grill it over charcoal drizzle with lemon and sprinkle with paprika as the Spanish do. Both methods preserve its full flavor and nutritional value. I recall the story of Antonio, a 74-year-old painter from Naples, Italy. He went through a period of creative block, struggling with memory lapses and forgetting ideas he had just thought of. A friend suggested he try a traditional Mediterranean diet, which included wild-caught octopus once a week. After about 6 months, Antonio felt his mind clear, his creativity return, and his stamina in painting sessions improve. He believes octopus not only nourished his body, but also fed his spirit and passion for art once again. 2. Wild Alaskan salmon. If I had to choose one seafood that's both delicious and one of the most beneficial for people over 60, wild Alaskan salmon would easily be at the top of the list. It's not only a staple in many healthy eating plans, but also a natural tonic for your brain, heart, and joints. What sets wild Alaskan salmon apart from farmed salmon is its high level of astaxanthin, a powerful antioxidant responsible for the fish's vibrant orange-red color. Astaxanthin has been called a shield for the brain because it can cross the blood-brain barrier, protecting and repairing nerve cells from free radical damage. A Japanese study tracking 500 people over age 65 found that those who ate wild salmon twice a week experienced memory decline 40% slower than those who ate little or none. Wild Alaskan salmon is also rich in the omega-3 fatty acids EPA and DHA, which help reduce inflammation, lower the risk of joint pain, improve blood vessel flexibility, and help regulate blood pressure. Research from the University of California found that seniors who regularly ate wild salmon had C-reactive protein CRP levels, a marker of inflammation, 50% lower than those who ate farmed salmon. This means they were less affected by chronic inflammation, which underlies many age-related conditions like heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and osteoarthritis. A 150-gram serving of wild salmon provides over 1,000 IU of vitamin D, almost a full day's requirement. Considering that 75% of Americans over 60 are vitamin D deficient, this is no small benefit since vitamin D helps keep bones strong, supports muscle function, and lowers the risk of falls. When buying, look for salmon caught in Alaska's Copper River sockeye or king salmon varieties. They have the highest omega-3 content and the lowest contaminant levels. The best cooking methods are grilling or lightly steaming to preserve nutrients, seasoned simply with sea salt, black pepper, and a touch of lemon to enhance the natural flavor. I'm reminded of Eleanor, a 70-year-old from Seattle. She had mild memory loss and was prescribed medication, but the side effects were unpleasant. Her daughter, a food enthusiast, encouraged her to add wild salmon to her meals 4 times a week. Within 3 months, Eleanor felt more clear-headed, found it easier to concentrate, and even remembered small daily details she used to forget. A year later, brain scans showed a noticeable improvement in blood flow. She often jokes, "Maybe I should just call salmon my memory food." 31. Green-lipped mussels from New Zealand. If there's a seafood that's both delicious and a natural medicine for the joints, it's New Zealand's green-lipped mussels. Recognizable by their jade-green shells and sweet, tender meat, their real value lies in rare compounds inside the kind you'd be hard-pressed to match, even in expensive supplements. Green-lipped mussels contain a unique type of omega-3 called ETA, eicosapentaenoic acid, which is rare in nature and has far stronger anti-inflammatory effects than the usual omega-3s found in fish. An Australian study of 400 arthritis patients found that after just 12 weeks of ETA supplementation from green-lipped mussels, pain levels dropped by up to 89% and mobility improved by over 90%. In addition, these mussels provide natural glucosamine and chondroitin compounds that help rebuild cartilage and maintain joint lubrication. Another study in New Zealand followed 300 seniors who ate green-lipped mussels regularly and found that nearly half showed signs of cartilage regeneration on MRI scans, something once thought impossible without surgery. This is remarkable news for anyone suffering from osteoarthritis. They're also rich in iron, copper, manganese, and vitamin B12 nutrients that boost red blood cell production, improve circulation, and fight chronic fatigue. These are especially important for people over 60 who are more prone to anemia and reduced stamina. For the best quality, buy whole frozen mussels from New Zealand, as they meet strict safety standards and retain their nutritional value. You can steam them with garlic and white wine, or bake them with cheese and herbs. Eating them 2 to 3 times a week can help keep joints flexible and significantly reduce chronic pain. I once met Michael, 67, from Oregon. A former construction worker, he had to retire early because of severe knee pain, and his doctor had already scheduled him for joint replacement surgery. A friend from New Zealand sent him a few kilos of green-lipped mussels and suggested eating them daily. After about 6 weeks, his pain had eased so much that he could walk around the neighborhood without a cane. At his next checkup, his doctor was amazed at the improvement in his knees, and the surgery was postponed indefinitely. Michael still eats green-lipped mussels every week and likes to joke, "They didn't just save my knees, they saved my wallet too." After 60, the body is no longer as forgiving of poor eating habits, but it also responds surprisingly quickly when you nourish it the right way. Simply cutting out one of the 4 worst seafoods, farmed catfish, farmed tilapia, imported farmed shrimp, or raw warm water oysters, and replacing it with one of the must-eat options, scallops, Mediterranean octopus, wild Alaskan salmon, or New Zealand green-lipped mussels, can make a noticeable difference. Start this week. Even one small change can help ease joint pain, improve sleep, and sharpen your mind. Which seafood from these two lists are you eating now? Which will you swap out first? Share your thoughts in the comments, hit like and subscribe so we can keep building healthier lives together after 60.